that shit charred, Voodoo like Yu-Gi-Oh, jogging up all night, yo. Voodoo like Yu-Gi-Oh.
What's up, Meta Gang? This is Chase here. Today we're going to actually open the new structure deck that just came out, the Sacred Beast. So let's go ahead and get broke right into it. And you're going to have to give me a little bit of a chance here because I'm still trying to learn the effects on myself. So let's go ahead and start this out. I'm going to pull out the play mat, show off this thing a little bit. There's that. This thing is amazing. Probably one of the prettiest playmats that we've had. Badass. Alright, and then just move on to the structure deck. Get a little tab open here. Alright. So one thing I wanted to point out real quick, our new beginner's guide is just one little tiny piece of paper that gives you a little QR code to scan, and that's how our beginner guides are starting to come out. We have to scan it now. Alright, so anyway, continuing. We'll start off with a couple random things that it gives you. We actually have two new tokens. We have the Phantasm token, and we finally have our Phantasm Martyr token to go with one of the cards that they also gave us in the set we've had for a while. But both tokens look just absolutely amazing. Extra deck, they give us two cards for the extra deck. They give us the Armityle, obviously, to go with the three main cards of the deck, and the other Phantasm Emperor. Both just flat out amazing, especially Armityle becoming a 10 grand during the battle phase. And this guy is awesome. It's so free for the deck because he is a Phantasm. So the main deck, we got our new guy, Raviel. This one is a hand trap during battle. You can pitch him to target one of your Raviel, Hamon, or Uriah and double its attack. It has another effect that you can tribute a monster while it's in your grave and return him back to your hand. And he also takes 3 monsters to summon instead of 3 fiends. So he's a little bit easier to bring out compared to the original Raviel. Alright, and then they give us, one of each, Raviel, Hamon, and Uriah. All ultra rares, which is just amazing because normally, we don't get this many ultra rares for a deck. We get 1, maybe 2, and then some supers, but, these guys, it's so amazing that we finally have a deck to actually play with these guys. Then we move on to Cerulean Skyfire, which is the new Hamon spell. Whenever you tribute him, you can also use face-down spells, and then while you control Hamon and attack once per turn, you can negate any spell and trap by that your opponent uses, and then you change your Hamon to defense. And if you have one of the 3, Raviel, Hamon, or Uriah, if one of them leaves the field, then you take no damage for that turn, which is amazing because if one of these guys leaves, you're pretty much left wide open because your resources are going to bring them out. Then we have a new continuous trap for Uriah. You can use your face-down traps to bring it out as well as your face-up ones. So it doesn't even have to be continuous, guys. It's just that amazing and so much easier to bring them out. Another thing it does, during battle, whenever your Uriah ends up going into a battle, you can send a trap from your hand or deck to the grave, and its attack becomes the number of spell and traps on the field and in both graveyards. What is it? Times 1,000. There we go. Sorry, I was looking for that part. I was trying to make sure how much it gained. But for every spell and trap on the field in Graves, it gains 1,000. And usually, if that's late game, I mean, that is super, super strong. Another effect that it has is, let's see, where did it go? Once per turn, you can discard a card, and you can either add or special summon one of your 3 guys from the grave, and it's ignoring its summon condition. So it's if you end up having to pitch one to the grave, you just get it right back for free, which is again flat out amazing. We also finally have their new fusion card, which is Dimension Fusion Destruction, which in my opinion, I think this is probably one of the coolest looking fusion cards we've ever had. And being a huge fan of fusion monsters, I love this spell. So you banish from your hand, field, and or your grave the materials listed on your phantasms. So you can bring out your Trilage by banishing your 3 level 10s, or bring out your Armityle by banishing your Raviel, Hamon, and Uriah. And it's, like I said again, it's hand, field, and grave, which is super easy because now with all the new resource we have, it's so fast to get them to your hand. And you know, with a few other cards in the deck, you can get yourself to the grave pretty easily. Also, if you control one of the 3, your opponent cannot respond to this, so it gains a super poly effect to where they can't chain anything against this card. Again, just flat out amazing, being able to banish your stuff and not have any consequence on it. Then we got Chaos Core, which is one of our new monsters. Level 3, 0 attack and defense, and this one, when either player activates a card or effect that targets him or targets this guy for an attack, it's a quick effect. You can send up to one of each of your 3 main lords, and you put that many counters on him. You take no damage, and he can't be destroyed by that battle, I believe. And it's hand and or deck, so you can do either spot. If you don't even have him in your hand, then you can just send him from your deck, so he has a foolish ability to go with that. But he gets the Phantasm counters for each one that's sent, and as long as you put 1, you take no battle damage, and that's a hard once, and if he was to be destroyed, you can remove one of the counters that you had just placed. So you take no damage, and you get to keep your body just by removing one of those counters that you took off, or that you just put there. Continuing, this is probably one of my favorite, Dark Beckoning Beast. Whenever this guy is normal summon, you can either add one of your 3 lords, or a monster that lists one of the 3 on their card text. And then during your main phase, he also gives you an additional normal summon of a fiend monster that has 0 attack and defense. In addition, so he's a double summon. He searches for your big guys, or whatever resource piece you need. He either brings out the next card that I'm gonna show you from the deck, or one that we've had for a while that they reprinted, which is the Dark Summoning Beast, which we'll also get to here in just a minute. So yeah, Dark Beckoning Beast is probably my favorite new monster they came out for this deck. And then we have Chaos Summoning Beast, which is a 1-for-1 target just to start off. He's level 1, 0 attack and defense, so you can give the additional normal summon to this guy. And he has basically the same effect as Dark Summoning Beast. You can tribute him and bring out one of your guys for free. And then also you can banish him to add your field card, which is Fallen Paradise. You can add it from your deck to your hand. So he has a terraforming effect, and he also brings you out a big body, and each effect is hard once. So you get to, bring him out, tribute him, bring out a big guy, and then banish him from your grave just to get your field card, which speeds up everything so much more. And then, like I said, we have the Dark Summoning Beast. Basically, he's the level 5, so he's a little bit bigger, and you have to tribute summon, but he is a fiend with 0 attack and defense. So our Dark Beckoning Beast that I just showed gives you the additional normal summon to even bring this guy out. And he has the same effect to tribute him off, and you get to special summon one of your big guys from your hand. And instead of searching for Fallen Paradise by banishing from their grave, you can banish him to search for one of your big guys. So you can just keep recycling and filling up your hand with, you know, your lords, which is pretty much the whole goal. Next, a good reprint they gave us is Phantom of Chaos. You know, you take no damage from its battles, and you can target a monster in your grave, an effect monster in your grave, and he pretty much mimics the effect. So it's you know, you get rid of your chaos or your Dark Beckoning Beast by tributing him off. Then you bring out this guy, and you know, you can mimic your Beckoning Beast because he is also a fiend with 0 attack and defense. So your additional normal summons work for him as well. Next, they gave us a Phantom Skyblaster. With him, you want to hope for, you know, at least one other monster, because, you know, we've had him for a while, but if you don't know, whenever he's normal summon, you get to bring out Skyblaster tokens equal to the number of monsters that you currently control. And then, if I remember right, during your standby phase, you take your you inflict 300 points to your opponent for each Skyblaster monster that you control. And then whenever you do that, your Skyblasters cannot, you know, attack or use their effects whenever you use that during the standby phase, because it's completely optional. Next, they gave us Mad Reloader. This is actually a new one to me. I'm not sure if we've had him for a while or not, but he is another fiend with 0 attack and defense. He's also a level 1. If he's destroyed by battle and he gets sent to the grave, you get to send 2 cards from your hand to the grave, and then if you do, you get to draw 2. So, you know, he kind of helps refill your hand if you have stuff that you don't need. Or, I mean, if anything, you know, it's a free +2, which is always amazing to have. Next, they gave us Grave Squirmer. He's a level 1, 0 attack and defense fiend, so another normal summon target. If he's destroyed by battle and sent to the grave, you actually get to target something and just flat out destroy it. Which, you know, spot clearing is always an amazing thing in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Next, they gave us a Rainbow Dark Dragon, because, you know, you're able to fill your grave so fast, and if you have 5 of them, you can bring him out for free. And, which, again, super, super easy to do. And he's a 4 grand body. Plus, in my opinion, he's an amazing reprint. You know, I know we have a few reprints of him, but just a free, you know, dark monster, 4 grand. So many decks revolve around dark anymore, so a great card to have. Then they gave us Tragodia, and he, whenever you take damage, you know, you bring him out for free, and then he gains 600 attack for each card that you have in your hand. And then once per turn, you can basically send a monster from your hand to the grave, and then you get to target a face-up monster that your opponent has with the same level as the one that you sent, and you get to take control of it. And also, once per turn, you can target a monster that in your grave, and he mimics his own level compared to the one that you targeted. So say you target, we'll just say you target your Chaos Summoning Beast in your grave, he becomes a level 1, which level manipulation is so amazing because you can go into different extra deck monsters, and if you run synchro engines, you can do different synchros, stuff like that. The next card they gave us, which is probably one of the greatest reprints we've had for a long time, we got our Raiden. There for a while, this card was so hard to get because he had the 1, maybe 2 prints, and he was, if you found him, he was no less than $5. Which, yes, isn't a whole lot, but, for some people, it really kind of is hard to budget with that. But I say he is probably second, maybe third best kaiju in the entire game. 2800 and, kaijus are flat out amazing. Help spot clear. Also, they gave us a Chaos Hunter. So whenever your opponent summons a monster, special summons a monster, you get to bring him out by discarding a card, and then while he's out, your opponent can't banish anything, which against some decks is really brutal because they banish to use their effects, or if your opponent goes to banish one of your things, they can't because you have this guy or chick, whichever, but it's also 25 body, which isn't the highest, but there are still some cards anymore, extra deck wise, or even main deck. 25 is still somewhat tough to get around, and it's a free summon. Then we get Puppet Master. 0 attack and defense fiend. He's a level 6, so you only have to tribute 1. And then whenever he is summoned, you can pay 2,000 life points to target 2 of your fiends in your grave, and you get to bring them out, and they don't get to attack, which, whatever. You get a body by tributing 1 off, you get your 2, you have 3 fiends, or, just 3 monsters on the field that can bring out either your Raviels, either of your Raviels actually, and it's super free because you get your extra normal summon, you tribute that thing off, you get this guy, target 2, pay 2,000. You're going to have a big body, so life points you don't have to worry too much about. Then they gave us a Stygian Street Patrol. I'm not going to lie, don't really remember what this card does. So let's see real quick. If he destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the grave, you deal damage to your opponent equal to the original level of that monster times 100. And then you can also banish him from your grave to summon a fiend with 2,000 or less attack from your hand. So if you end up having him in your grave, which, we have discard effects, if you use your new Raviel, you get to, summon him out, tribute him off with your Raviel, just to get Raviel back to your hand, and then you banish him to bring out one of your other monsters. The next card they gave us, which is a really cool reprint in my opinion, they gave us a Farfa. Burning Abyss is always going to be relevant, especially with Dante being a thing, continuous at 3, and the 1 Beatrice doesn't hurt Burning Abyss at all, it still helps it out. But, Farfa, you bring it out for free, if anything, and then, if you end up having to just send him, you get to banish something for the turn, which is always helpful, because, again, spot removal in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is amazing. Then they gave us the Fabled Cerebral, which I thought was really neat because it is a tuner, and it's a Fabled, so it's kind of the original Danger Engine deck / engine. So if he's discarded, you get to free summon him. Just a free level 2 tuner on your field, which is awesome. Especially, again, tuner. Ha! Hit your synchros all you want. Next one is a neat reprint. We got a Danger Chupacabra, which is one that everybody, if you don't have all your dangers, Chupacabra is usually one that a lot of people are missing. You get to use his effect. If he gets summoned, you get to draw a card. And if not, if he's pitched, you get to bring out another danger from your grave, which, yeah, he's the only danger we got in the deck, but really, you're going to use him for your discarding effects to help try to boost your graveyard so that you can get your effects off. And that's it for the monsters they gave us. The next one is your spells. So we got a new one, Opening of the Spirit Gates. This thing, as soon as it is activated, you get to add, again, just like your monster, you get to add a one of your 3 lords or a monster that states them. And then once per turn, you can discard a card and you get to special summon a fiend with 0 attack and defense from your grave. Also, once per turn, if you control a level 10 monster, you can add a continuous spell from your grave to your hand. And you can only activate one of these things per turn, which is completely understandable. If they didn't have that restriction, you run all 3, you activate all 3, you get all 3 of your lords for free. And being able to recycle your spells from your grave, so you bring out your Hamon by attributing off your 3 spells if you have to, and use this thing just to get it right back, which is simply amazing, especially now that we can use face downs. The next one is Fallen Paradise, our field card. Your opponent basically can't target your 3 lords with card effects, and also they can't be destroyed by card effects. So it protects them from any card effect, except for if they get bounced or something like that. But a lot of bouncing effects, unless you run old nostalgia decks, they have to target in order to do anything. So this protects your field from being targeted. And it blocks out Raigeki for your big guys, which, Raigeki is annoying. That's why it's at 1. And then, let's see. If you control one of the 3 in your monster zone, you get to draw 2 cards. So as long as you have one of your 3 lords on the field, you get a free +2 on your turn. It's a hard once effect, but it's a free +2 because you're going to bring out your big body for pretty much nothing. Then they gave us another reprint, Phantasmal Martyrs. Basically, if you control Uriah or Hamon, and you have to have at least 2 other cards in your hand, which, you get to recycle your resources and stuff like that, so it's not very hard. You get to summon 3 of your Phantasmal Martyr tokens, which, that's your 3 fiends right there. That's a free Raviel, as long as you have, 2 cards in your hand in either Uriah or Hamon on the field, which, again, completely free. So there's 2 big boss monsters right there. Next one is Spell Chronicle that they gave us for the continuous spells. This thing, whenever you activate it, you have to send your entire hand to the grave and banish 5 spell and traps from your deck just to activate this thing. Each time your opponent activates one, you put a Chronicle counter on it after it resolves, and then you can remove 2, and your opponent chooses a card banished by this thing, and they basically have to choose which spell you get to add back to your hand. So you banish the ones that you're gonna need, and you force your opponent to choose one, and it's almost like a Monarch engine, in a way. And also, if it leaves, you have to take 500 damage for each card that's still banished by the effect. So say you get to activate the one effect by removing 2 and your opponent activates 1 and it leaves, you're still going to take 2,000 damage, but hopefully by then you'll be able to set up and not really have to worry about much of anything. Next, they gave us a terraforming to help search for the Fallen Paradise, or, you know, we actually have 2 field cards in the deck, so, you know, it's terraforming. It's plain and simple, one of the most iconic staple card in the entire game. And like I said, we do have 2 field cards from the deck, so they gave us a free set rotation, which honestly, I know a lot of people that actually don't even have this card in their arsenal. If you're playing it in the right deck, this card is brutal, because you get to set whatever 2 field cards you want, and your opponent gets 1, you get 1, you get to activate yours, and that spell on your opponent's field can't do anything. They have to activate it in order to get rid of it. And then the other field card they gave us is Mound of the Bound Creator. It basically protects your level 10s from card effects. They can't be targeted and they can't be destroyed. And then if this card leaves, you get to search for a divine monster. So if you really wanted in the deck, you can actually run a Egyptian god play into it if you really wanted. I believe it does something else. Yes, if a level 10 or higher monster destroys another monster by battle and it gets sent to the grave, the player who controls the destroyed monster, they get 1,000 damage dealt to them. So basically, you're going to bring out your level 10s who are protected. You go to deal damage. I mean, you get a free extra 1,000 damage on your opponent, which, because of our new Raviel, you get to target one of your guys and double its attack for the turn. So if you target Haman or Raviel, that's an 8 grand monster, and Raviel can also add to his own attack points. So you have a potential of a 16,000 attack monster who will attack everything that's protected, dealing an extra 1,000 damage once it destroys a monster. So because we have a bunch of level 1s, they gave us 1-for-1, which again helps fill up your grave for your resources to extend. And I mean, it's 1-for-1. It's another iconic and nostalgic staple card. You know, these staples are at 1 for a reason, guys, and that's why you need to always have these in your arsenal. Another neat one they have is the beginning of the end. You have to have 7 or more darks in your grave, and then you get to banish 5 of those to plus 3 cards. So, you know, there are some effects that, you know, basically you don't really need them in your grave, so you just pitch them out with this, and you get a free plus 3. Again, drawing, amazing in the game. Another great reprint that we actually just got in another set in the Toon Chaos is Pot of Desires. Personally, you know, I have trouble with this card. This card does not like me whatsoever for some reason. But you banish 10 for your cost from the top of your deck face down, and you get to draw 2 cards. Which, for certain decks, is amazing, aka Gren Maju builds. So, you know, another great reprint, and a new staple for the deck. They gave us Owner's Seal. Basically, if your opponent goes to, like, take something, or if you use Radiant, your Kaiju, to tribute over your opponent's monster, you hit this, you get your Radiant back. Which, you know, it's always amazing because sometimes you have to kaiju and you can't really do much after that. So you pretty much give them a big body for free that they can just sit there and use and abuse. But with this, you know, you take it back and that can help pull out your big guys because it gives you an extra monster on your board, and Radiant is a fiend. To help protect against the destruction of your field cards, they gave us a field barrier, which is amazing because it is also a continuous spell. So, you know, it helps against with your Hamon, and again, it protects your field cards. So your opponent will have to get rid of this thing before they can do anything on your fields. Another continuous they gave us is Swords of Concealing Light. It gets destroyed during your second standby phase after you activate it, and whenever it resolves, you change all your opponent's monsters to face down the fence, and monsters your opponent control, they can't change their battle position, which is almost like a Swords of Revealing Light, but you know, it's Concealing Light, so it's going to help protect and put your opponent's stuff face down. They can't do anything for 2 to 3 turns, which can be very brutal. A great reprint that we have a ton of, but you know, it's an amazing card, and anymore, against a lot of stuff, it negates now, which is MST. The only reason I say it negates is because, say you hit a continuous spell or continuous trap as they're activating their effect, it can't be on the field, so, you know, it doesn't get to resolve. So, again, MST negates, guys. Alright, and then we go on to our trap cards. We have a new one, Awakening of the Sacred Beast. You gain the effects based on the number of the lords that you control, with different names. So the first effect is each time your opponent normal or special summons a monster, you gain life points equal to the attack of that monster. So you end up paying your you know, your life points, or you get the damage dealt from Spell Chronicle. You have this thing on your field. As long as you have one of those 3, you get to, well, actually one of those 4 now, because our Raviel still counts, and he is also a different name. So, you know, you have 4 targets, but you gain life points. If you have 2, you get to negate activated effects of monsters your opponent controls. So basically, if you have at least 2 of them, your opponent can't activate monster effects whatsoever. And then if you have 3 or more, it banishes all your opponent's monsters instead of sending them to the grave. So it has a dimensional fissure effect in its text. And then once per turn, as long as you can, it's just like the new spell card we got, but instead of adding a spell, as long as you control level 10 once per turn, you can return a trap from your grave to your hand. Next one is a great card that helps recycle your stuff because, you know, you do banish a lot. We get Escape from the Dark Dimension. You target one of your banished darks and you special summon it, and then whenever this thing leaves, you have to destroy that target, and if you do, you have to banish it. But, you know, it's basically a Call by the Grave, but for your banished dark monsters, which, again, all your monsters in this deck are all dark. So you're likely to have a bunch of stuff banished, especially getting your searches off with your Summoning Beast and your Beckoning Beast and all that. So it's a great card to have in this. Then they give us Shapeshifter, which is a continuous trap that still counts as a trap, but it also summons itself as a fiend monster. So it basically just helps fill your board up, and you know it helps with your Uriah because you can still tribute it off. Next, they gave us a Imperial Custom. Helps protect your continuous trap cards, which flat out amazing, because if you don't have those, it's really hard to bring out Uriah, which Uriah is a great card, especially now that we have his new trap card. And then next, we go on to Mistake. Neither player can add cards from their deck to their hands except drawing them, and it is, again, another continuous trap card, which, for Uriah. Also, we get Dark Factory of More Production. So you send a monster from your hand or your field over to the grave, and you get to plus a card. And you know it's a hard once, but hey, you fill up your grave, and you get to refill up your hand. But so that's the deck, guys. Can't wait for everybody to start playing this more, and I can't wait to start seeing it everywhere else. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep an eye out for more content. See ya.
Like and subscribe to Metagame. Hit the bell icon.
That shit sharp. For the light you